How do you batch multiple work orders on the production floor in Cetec ERP? Cetec ERP allows users who are logged into a work order to batch multiple work orders into the same time segment. If you would like to use this feature, first speak with your system admin to be sure that this feature covers your time tracking and production requirements. If so, you must first turn on a configuration setting to use this feature. To do so, click Admin. Then click Config Settings. Then Config Settings. Search for the config setting called Allow Batch Work Order Segments. In order to use it, you must enter a value of 1 here. And click Set. Now that it's on, you can batch multiple work orders onto the same time segment. Let's navigate to an open work order. We have multiple ways to look one up. Let's say we can't remember the work order number and need to look it up. We'll navigate to the production order list by clicking Production, then Orders, then Production Order List. We'll click Submit to look at all of our work orders. And then click into the one we want. As usual, an employee logged into a work order can click Start Work here in the middle in order to track time spent on the job. With the Batch Work Order feature, that user can log multiple jobs onto the same timestamp. After choosing the appropriate work location, the user can go to the field called Batch Work Order Add and start typing in and selecting the orders that they want to include in this timestamp. So imagine we're putting all of these into the same oven, or we're putting all of these into the same machine and want to track all the time at once, so we need to log multiple work orders at the same time. After batch adding the orders, one option is to go down to the Add Time and Close at Once section to add all of the time at once. Add the total passive time. In our example, it's 1 hour, to see how the time divides among all of the work orders. You can then go to the View Work Report to see all time spent on jobs across the entire production floor. Click Production, then Management. Then View Work. Listed at the top of the report, you'll see all of the jobs you just batch added. Notice the passive time columns: passive start, passive stop, passive time in minutes, and passive time in hours. Passive time represents the total amount of time spent across all of the jobs in the batch you added. So imagine you just put 4 units in a machine and they ran through and took 1 hour for all of them. But per unit, that's actually 15 minutes of job costs. So the time spent columns, showing in both minutes and hours, shows the actual time spent per job. But what if there's a mistake? What happens if we accidentally added an order in here that shouldn't have been? Well, we can delete timestamps in the software and it will recalculate the actual time spent across each order. So, in this case, select the work order that was mistakenly added. Once in that work order, click on the History tab. The History tab will show each individual timestamp for time logged on the work order. Go to the time you just logged as part of the batch work, and click the blue Delete link on the right side of that line. If you then go back to the View Work Report and refresh the page, click Ctrl+R. You'll see that that work order has been removed. Its timestamp is no longer there. If you scroll to the right, you'll notice that the passive time remains the same for the batched work orders, but the time spent per unit has changed. The division is now done across one less work order because one of them was removed. If you'd like to edit some of these, maybe it was actually supposed to go 2 hours instead of 1, you can edit the passive start and passive stop text fields. Notice that only the top work order of the batched orders is available for editing. Changing the passive start or stop time for that top order will cause the start/stop time to recalculate on all orders from that batch. Once you click Set to put that change through, you'll see that the totals for the passive time and the actual time have been recalculated for all of those work orders. What does it look like when a batch of jobs has active work? To see this, go to a work order and click Start Work. On the Start Work pop-up window, be sure the work location is correct. Then enter all of the work orders in your batch. Then click Start Work to create open time segments that will be tracked in real time. Notice that now there is a notification at the top of the work order screen indicating active work in all of the work orders from your batch. That notification contains links to each of the orders. Click into one and go down to the active time section. Note that in the batch column it says yes, indicating that this active work is part of a batch of jobs. If you click Stop Work on any of the jobs, it will stop work on the other jobs in the batch as well. So, click Stop Work. And notice that the active work listed at the top for all of the batched orders disappears. If you click into any of the work orders that were included in the batch, you'll also see that the active time section now indicates no active work. Now you have a good foundational knowledge of how to batch work orders in Cetec ERP.